Do you know what that was?
What?
Do you know what that was?
What are you doing?
It's a slam. Do you want to welcome them to the jam?
This was your big intro idea? How long did you think about this?
Another walkover.
It's Space Jam. We're doing Space Jam.
Uh-huh.
What are you doing? I'm fixing a divot. Oh. He's fixing a divot!
Space Jam, 1996. The most important movie ever made?
I would say...
Yes.
Yes.
It's so this is a pretty big nostalgia movie for me. This was one of the only VHSs we had before we got rid of our VCR and started getting DVDs. This was one of the last ones we got, I think. And it was one I watched over and over again. And having not watched it since I was a kid and watching it now, there's a lot I didn't pick up on, which is a typical thing with kids' movies.
Yeah.
And watching them again, but more just like the weirdness of it. Because when you're a kid, you're willing to accept a lot of things about this story.
It's all right.
Michael Jordan's got to help the Looney Tunes win a basketball game. But when you consider it as people who enjoy storytelling like we do, as people who watch and analyze a lot of movies for studies and for fun, there's a lot to this movie that's wild.
Yeah, and somebody who actually watched it for the first time just a few years ago.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Not really as a kid.
I didn't know that at all.
And then, I only watched it a few years ago for the first time. And then watching it again, it's like, I picked up on a lot more than I did even a few years ago.
Yeah, it's a very bizarre movie. I think as we were watching it, the way I described it was, it feels like there were 4 credited writers, 2 teams, I believe, and it does feel like one team wrote half the movie and the other team wrote the other half. One team wrote all the stuff with the Looney Tunes, and the other team wrote all the weird subplots that happen.
Yeah.
Because the thing about this movie that is so bizarre, and I think makes me still appreciate it now, like I think a lot of people look back on this and think it's kind of stupid, but I kind of appreciate it because it does the stuff in kids' movies that most kids' movies wouldn't do. Like, they address the things about the plot, like they address how other characters would react to strange things like this happening.
Yeah, they do.
Like, the entire subplot with the other basketball players is hilarious.
Yeah, like...
They keep cutting back to it.
I think, like, what I think happened, I mean, I probably didn't, but, like, it's like, I feel like they filmed the entire parts with Michael Jordan going to the Looney Tune land, doing all the basketball, winning, and then they realized they still need an extra hour of footage. Because there really isn't a lot going on. If
No.
you just, like, if you cut out all these subplot, it's literally just that.
It's about 45 minutes maximum, I think.
I'd say. And, like, it's just the cuts are so weird. It's like they don't need them at all.
Well, then they just cut to random things like that at random points. There's not a lot of sense of equality between time or story, like, flow. They'll just go to like a quarantine, and they say they cancel the rest of the NBA games because of this disease that all the basketball players are getting. And there is some weird humor that I really didn't see coming, like when the Monstars are going to steal Patrick Ewing's talent, and they're all hiding in a trench coat, and they're sort of wiggling around in the trench coat, and the woman looks at her boyfriend next to her, and says, this guy next to me is doing something really weird in his raincoat. I'm like, why is there a masturbation joke in this Looney Tunes movie? Why are we here?
Especially because, like, it's not like they know Looney Tunes are a thing, because Michael Jordan goes, like, to Looney Tunes World, it's like, you guys aren't real.
Bugs Bunny.
You were expecting maybe the Easter Bunny?
You're a cartoon, you're not real.
You know?
That's another thing I want to address about this movie. Characters don't really react to the Looney Tunes at all. Like, when Michael Jordan is pulled down into the core of the earth, where the Looney Tunes apparently live, which I will recall that you said while we were watching it, oh, that makes sense. Which I don't agree with. Fundamentally, I don't agree with that. But, we had a couple beers. It was fine. At that point, maybe I'd buy it.
Where else would they be? Where else would that signal that got to space, by the way? It's a moron mountain.
The crux of this movie, the dramatic crux of this movie is that the Looney Tunes are going to be sold into slavery.
Yes.
But initially, they're shown to still have to act out these cartoons over and over again, presumably for TV. Like, they are living sentient beings. They have a life outside of the cartoons aren't like documentaries. Because Porky Pig runs in, he's like, stop this cartoon, and like you imagine that all these relationships that happen between them are just put on for these different things, like the Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote or whatever. So is the fact they have to act out these things, do they get paid for that, or is that just more slavery? Are they indentured beings all the time? Basically, these aliens come down from this theme park because they need new attractions, and they hit a remote, and the Looney Tunes come on. I guess the alien remote control can do all sorts of things with the touch of any random button, like play Looney Tunes cartoons.
They also speak English.
And that's neither here nor there. I won't delve into the linguistics of it. So they come down to the center of the Earth to kidnap the Looney Tunes. And the Looney Tunes say, like, we have to give us a chance to defend ourselves, and they trick them, and then they realize these are little short aliens, so we'll challenge them to a game of basketball. The aliens then have the ability, I suppose, to capture the abilities of other beings.
Yes.
This is...
But, like, multiply it by 100.
I guess, because they turn into giant freaks of nature.
Yeah, they don't look
They don't turn
like the
into
people...
humans.
Yeah.
I think it would have been interesting if they'd, like, rotoscoped the actual basketball players and brought them in, like...
Yeah, made them act it out.
Done something...
Yeah.
Well, I mean, given how the basketball players act, I don't know if making them act more would have been the best idea. Michael Jackson's not going for Michael Jackson. I knew it. I always screw that up. Michael Jordan's not going for an Oscar in this.
It's so interesting to think, like, they can absorb the essence of somebody and, like, multiply it by 100. What if they didn't do basketball players? Like, again, I know I brought this up when we were watching it, but, like, what if, what if, hear me out.
Say it. Just say it.
What if they, instead of the basketball players, they got the essence of, like, horrible world dictators? Like Hitler and Kim Jong-un, and just multiplied that by like 100. You know how much stuff they could get done in a bad way. Like, holy crap, that would be a movie I'd watch. And the Looney Tunes would have to stop them. The Looney Tunes have to stop a mecha Hitler, a mecha alien Hitler.
Why is there mechs now?
and then there's Hitler, but like he's just like, oh, I can't be bad anymore.
So, the movie you're proposing is the Looney Tunes team up with Hitler to fight a giant alien Hitler and his Third Reich.
We call it Reich Jam.
We call it Reich Jam.
It could work.
No. Directed by Quentin Tarantino.
I'd watch it.
Okay, well, they are making a sequel to Space Jam. It's currently in development with LeBron. I pray they use your ideas. I hope we can maybe go in and pitch this to them. I'm sure they're writing it, but you never know.
It's like I feel like
there's still time.
How have they not thought of this? It's such a good idea.
It's such a good idea.
Let's make
it this weekend. So Michael Jordan is brought down to help the Looney Tunes, to help them defeat these now super-powered alien basketball players, and then they play basketball, and that's the movie. Like, it's very straightforward. There's not a lot of complicated stuff to it. The weird stuff is everything else besides that, which we touched on. The weird stuff is Bill Murray and Larry Bird playing golf.
Bill Murray just keeps coming out of nowhere. Like, I understand the golf section, but he just makes it to Looney Tunes. Oh, the joke he made.
The weird meta joke.
Like,
so
how'd you
bizarre.
get here, Bill?
I'm
Mr.
a friend
Murray.
of the producers and
drove me here.
A Teamster dropped me off. That's so weird. Such a weird joke to put in this movie.
And I feel like it's true. It has to be true.
Well, I mean,
it's like Bill Murray heard about this. He's like,
I feel like
he wasn't even supposed to be in it in the first place, and they're just like, Bill Murray's like, hey, could I be in this movie?
Yeah, I feel like they had him for a day.
Yeah,
maybe two. No, maybe just one. They had him for a day to do all the golfing stuff outside, and then they shot the final shot of him and Larry Bird at the basketball game because it's a very tight shot on a crowd. They could have done that at a soundstage, and then all the green screen stuff was on the court. They did that in like 20 minutes. This movie didn't have multiple takes. This doesn't strike me as a movie that had multiple takes.
I don't want to slam on Michael Jordan's acting career, but wow. It was a bit better than his baseball career. If I do say so.
Wow. They'll want to understand why Space Jam is the way it is, how it was made, because Space Jam 2, I don't think it'll be written anything like the first one was. I don't think there'll be the bizarre, weird, like, meta comedy going on, and the stuff where it's just like I almost said Jackson again, where it's Michael Jordan playing golf with Larry Bird and Bill Murray.
That better be the opening scene.
I'd love it. I don't think Bill Murray will come back for this, to be quite honest. I don't think this is a sparkling point in his career.
Never know.
If he doesn't want to do Ghostbusters 3, he's not going to do this. For a Looney Tunes movie, not just the masturbation in the basketball stadium joke, there are several erection and masturbation and just
when Bugs
sexual
Bunny
jokes.
Just like bodging.
Yeah,
you know?
Lola Bunny. There's a lot to unpack. Okay, let's not. Could you not do that, please, in my room?
Hey man, it's her fault that furries are a thing.
It's weird because I never. Here's my weird brag. I never felt any particular attraction to Lola Bunny when I was a child or a teenager. You got something you want to talk about? You got something you want to get off your chest? There's no mic there. Yeah, it is a very... Because Lola Bunny is so overtly sexualized, and her purpose is purely for that. Like, she was a new character for this movie, and she still exists in the Looney Tunes canon.
In the new years ago, Looney Tunes series, she's like a complete 180. She's like a dumb blonde.
It's weird that she's like a sex object, but they put that on the Looney Tunes movie?
Because they didn't know what they were making.
It's like a 90s sports movie kind of thing. You know, the one girl who's really good comes in, and all the guys go, oh my god. But then
Dodgeball, a Jew underdog story?
Yeah, wow. A Jew underdog story?
A true underdog story.
I thought you said a Jew underdog story.
I wish I was in the land of Cottonwood.
Foghorn Leghorn sings Dixieland in this movie. And I feel like that was not a joke that was clear to anybody. They just like, this sounds vaguely country. The producers are like, oh, that's good. Ivan Reitman produced this movie. I did not know that. Speaking of Ghostbusters.
Well, he wasn't
that's why Bill Murray was in it. Ivan Reitman produced it.
Oh, you're right.
He's a friend of the producer.
You're right, man. God.
That was actually a real joke. Holy crap.
Oh, wow.
It's a real joke.
So, it was true. That wasn't...
What? This is honestly blowing. Like, I'm not making. This is blowing my mind. This is just.
I never
hitting me
thought
now.
we would think so much about Space Jam.
This is just hitting me now. That was a real, true joke.
Oh my god! I just thought this was a good old kids movie.
This is the best movie ever made. This may be the best comedy ever made.
It's a commentary and a comedy.
You see it
on what life truly is about.
Yeah, making money, which this movie did.
It made a
lot of money.
It's still making money.
It's honestly, yeah. I'm surprised it took this long for a sequel. I mean, there was going to be a sequel, of course, and
Skate Jam.
They were going to make a bunch
of
Looney Tunes. They're not making Reich Jam. That was your thing. Don't put that on. People will get sued. And we'll say they're gonna.
I'm a friend of the producers. I can get it done.
Anyway, okay.
It was nominated for Best Animated Feature.
At the Oscars?
At the Annies.
Okay. Good. Can you imagine?
At the Film and Television Awards, it won for most performed songs from motion pictures.
What?
Okay. I don't know. This is weird.
They're just the
Grammys.
The most in a sound. What is that?
Best song written specifically for a motion picture. I Believe I Can Fly.
Yes.
Was written for Space Jam.
It was. You didn't
that
know
was.
I knew that.
I didn't know that. I love that song.
Yeah. Well, it's a little less fun now because R. Kelly.
Okay.
What won Best Picture in '96? What beat Space Jam? What piece of garbage movie? What absolute garbage trash?
Braveheart.
Who needs it? There's so much to this movie. It's fascinating. It's a piece of art, like undeniably.
Yeah. Your light died.
No.
How'd that happen?
It's very symbolic. What are your hopes for Space Jam 2? What do you think is going to happen with LeBron James?
I would honestly hope it like reignites the whole animation live action movies again. Right. I love those.
They are fun.
Like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, I thought was amazing.
Yeah. I want to see the Looney Tunes come back into pop culture. because they've kind of they're there.
Like they had their show, like the like I said, like last year, like the new Looney Tunes show.
Yeah.
But that has since fizzled out.
They're around and people are aware of them, but they are very much like that old thing. And like around this time, like because Back in Action was such a big flop, I think that kind of marked the death of them as like a big property. But I would love to see them come back into like the mainstream because I grew up with the Looney Tunes. I totally did. I would watch them with my parents, my dad, my sister all the time. Like we would watch tons of Looney Tunes cartoons. We had big disc box sets, and we just sit and watch tons of them. And they're so much fun, and they're so great, and there's so much you can do with it. And you know, Reich Jam could happen one day. God willing, we ever make it in Hollywood. You know,
just so you know,
yeah,
Reich Jam would not end with Hitler winning. The Looney Tunes would win, and Hitler would get his evil back. And then...
Good. And then World War II happens, and it was all the Looney Tunes' fault.
No. And
that's how I'd end it.
And then, out of nowhere, Bill Murray comes in. All right?
Wait, is this still 1940s Germany?
Bill Murray comes in.
Is this pre-war or during the war?
This is the future.
Wait, what?
The aliens went back in time, stole Hitler... brought him back. I'm sorry, no, they stole his evil, and then
let's not be
he
stupid.
Came by.
They just stole Hitler's evil, not Hitler. Let's not be
no,
silly.
No, Hitler came with them. They tried to get it back, and then
because he understands what was happening.
And then so then in like 2020 world, it's like Wolfenstein but worse. And instead of he's going after the Looney Tunes. Like, they're going to kill all the Looney Tunes. Oh my god, this is perfect. But anyway, like, at the end, they win, the Looney Tunes are saved, everything goes back to normal and how it happened before, and, but they make sure Hitler, dies, I guess.
They orchestrate his suicide. It's actually Bugs Bunny who shoots him. Yes!
Bugs Bunny is the assassin of Hitler.
Come on, it's Spike, and welcome to the Reich. Imagine pitching Reich Jam to like actual executives at WB. We have to write. We're not going to produce it, but we have to write Reich Jam.
Okay.
We have to spend a weekend writing Reich Jam.
Then we'll pull a Tommy Wiseau and just get the money ourselves.
We can't license the Looney Tunes. We can't afford that. Even in 2019, we can't afford that.
We won't make any money off of it. It will be a parody of
It's
sorts.
for art's sake.
It's for arts only. We won't make a single dime. We can use them. That's how it works, right?
No.
We're not putting them in a bad name.
Are you sure? They're teaming up with Hitler.
But it's a good Hitler. And Bugs Bunny kills the bad Hitler at the end. It's going to be like a sad moment when Hitler knows he has to take his evil back. He doesn't want to, but he knows he has to. It's like one of those.
It's good for Hollywood films to make you sympathize with Hitler. That's good. That's really what it's all been about. Any more thoughts on Space Jam? For a movie with the Looney Tunes animation looking pretty awesome, the other animation is shockingly awkward. Notably when Michael Jordan is turned into a basketball and when Wayne Knight is blown back up after being crushed. And
it was beautiful.
I think the big emotional moment at the end of this movie is that you can just do anything when you're in Looney Tunes land, and Michael Jordan has that weird, freakish Mr. Fantastic arm.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
This movie is very weirdly edited. Just watching different scenes and noting how it's cut together, especially in the basketball.
Of Michael.
In the basketball scenes, especially the final basketball battle, I'll call it. It's an epic battle. Lord of the Rings has nothing on Space Jam. With that final scene, it'll just cut to a random close-up of Michael Jackson.
3-4 times?
Now that's a random close-up. Imagine if they just cut footage of Michael Jackson in this movie. So in the end, the Looney Tunes win, of course. It's very triumphant. The aliens fight back against our evil Danny DeVito boss.
The other light went out.
Come on.
Thank you, Danny.
Do you have any final thoughts on Space Jam? Wrapping up.
It is. There's much more to think about it.
It's a very cerebral film.
There's a lot more to it than I ever could have thought of.
Very philosophical.
Very, very philosophical. Honestly, like this movie needs to be studied 50 years from now, and just like shown everywhere. You know, film festivals, like just spark it up again.
Yeah.
You know, Space Jam 2.
Get it back out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Build the hype. I mean, you know, Space Jam 2, I don't know when it's going to come out. I will see it opening night for sure, just because I'm so invested in this world, this universe. It's much like the Marvel universe.
Yes.
Yeah. And I'm sure a sequel made 2 decades after the first movie is going to be great, because they always are. Space Jam is a marvel of filmmaking. There's nothing else like it. Even with the sequel, I doubt we'll ever see anything quite like it again.
That's true.
It's bizarre, it's funny, it's weird, it's bad and good in pretty much the same ways and on equal levels.
It is a beautiful thing, because beauty is both the ugly and the pretty. So together they're great.
It's inspiring. It's both the ugly and the pretty. It's great.
It's great.
Yeah, who said that? I think it was Gandhi.
Edgar Allan Poe. They're the same.
Yeah. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and to me, Space Jam is the most beautiful film of the millennium.
So thank you for joining our jam.
Thank you for slamming your way into this jam.
And people in the house, let's go.
Reich's Jam, coming summer 2021.
We got this.
Be there.
Or be...
Ooh, you know what? There's no good way to finish that joke.
Oh, okay. Goodbye.
See ya.